Hello and welcome to a video from filmsbychris.com. That's Chris with the K. I'm Chris with the K. Today we're going to be looking at creating some QR codes with images in the center. I've been doing a series on creating QR codes, and a viewer asked if QR Encode, the application we'll be using in the shell, can add images to the center. I'm sure you've seen QR codes with little logos and whatnot in the middle. And no, QR Encode cannot. The thing about QR codes is that they have redundancy built into them. So you can actually tear part of a QR code, smudge it, cover it up, and it should still scan in many cases, as long as you don't remove too much of it. So should I be able to, can I use ImageMagick just to slap an image in the middle there and have it work? Well, the answer is yes. I've written a script that does that. We're going to play around with it someday. You'll see what I've done, and it does have built-in error checking. So if it does fail, you will know. But let's go ahead and jump right into the shell over here. Okay, here we are. I'm in a directory in my terminal here, which is the same directory I'm over here. I have a bunch of test images to put in the center of a QR code. Real quick, let's move into this output directory. And I am going to use QR Encode. And let's just go ahead and say QR Encode. Make this full screen. We'll just say QR1. So I'm going to put my URL, my website in here. I'm going to say output to a PNG file called QR1. We'll run that, and we have a QR code here. Now, QR Encode has some other options. I can say -S and give it a size. The default size is 3, so let's up it a little bit and say 5. Okay. Actually, let's go ahead and create the first one again. And we will rename that too. So if you look at this, you can actually see they are the exact same QR code. If you look at the little squares in here, little dots in here, they're all the same. Just one is a higher resolution. This is good if we're going to be putting images in the center, because otherwise we're going to have to shrink down our images so much that images will look pixelated. But that does not help for redundancy, for having the information in there more once. So if we cover up too much of this QR code, it won't be able to read. Well, QR Encode has another option. So let's go ahead, create another QR code. We will call this one QR3. And we're going to say -V. -V. I did not look into this option too much. -V stands for version, I think. That's what I think it said. That doesn't make much sense. Anyway, it can go up to like 40 or 45. By default, I'm not sure what the default is. But we're going to set it, again, this is just me playing around. We're going to say version 5. So we're going to create a third QR code, same size as what we have here as QR1, but we're going to give it a higher V value. And you can see it seems to be more repetitive. It looks like, if you count this out, like maybe it's repeating things 5 times. Let's go ahead and use that to help put images in the middle. Now, again, we can go up a higher number. Let me go ahead and say 15. It's much bigger. I actually think they look uglier like this, but they are more functional, I guess. Again, I didn't do much research on this. Let's go ahead and set this all the way up to 40. If I set it up to 40, you'll see now it is just... Okay? So there's a lot of repetitiveness, but it may also be harder to scan when it's smaller like this. So there is some trade-off there. But we're going to use these options to create QR codes with images in the center. Let me go ahead and just delete all our output here. Go up here again. I have all these images to test, and let me go up, and I'm going to vim USR local bin, and QR-image is my image application. Let's actually just run it and have a look at the output, and then we'll actually run it on all these as a test. So I'm going to say name of my script. If we just run it, it's going to ask for text, right? If I give my script the -H option, it's going to print a help file or help message, which here it shows you can pass it text, input image, and an output image. And it gives you an example on how to do it. So let's go ahead and just do that. I'm going to say this, and I'm actually going to, I like to put my messages, my strings in quotation marks. I should update my help message to do it like that. And I will give it an output of output, and I'll just call it qr.png. That's actually the input file that we're trying to give. So I'll just give it one of these. I'll say tux2.png, and the output would be that. So here we're going to say -O. Okay, so again, we're going to give it this. If we type in tux2, I'm going to give it this image here, and we're going to create a QR code in our output directory. We did that. Everything was successful. And there we go. You can see what it looks like. Real quick, let's go ahead and vim my script here. And we're going to look at this line right here. You can see I set version 15. let's go ahead and actually drop that down because originally I tried version 5. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to remove everything in the output directory. So our output is empty. And then I am going to run this for loop here. So what are we going to do? We're going to say for every file in this directory. That includes our output directory, so we are going to get an error on that since it's a directory, not a file, but that's fine. Because my script will print any failed QR codes output in red. So we're going to look at every image in here. We're going to run my script. We're going to pass it the text of my URL. We're going to give it that input image and an output image of the same file name in the output directory. My script will check to see if the output's a PNG. It will append .png if it does not have that. And -q just prevents when there's errors, it's not going to print the help file or help screen. So let's go ahead and just run that. And it's running, but we're getting some red errors here. And again, if we go here and go to output, my script will put the word error at the beginning of any file that fails. So you can look at them and say, it doesn't, not generate them, it generates them, and you can be like, okay, what might be causing this? Well, let's go ahead and go back into my script here and up this to 15. I find this as kind of a sweet spot, but you can play with this some yourself. So let's go ahead and I am going to delete all our generated images. And I am going to rerun that script, and we can see them as they're generated here. And we can go back to our shell. And the only red output we got was the one on the actual directory, because it's a directory, not an image. So that's good. Let's go ahead and do something in the middle. Instead of 5 or 15, we'll say V10. We'll go ahead and remove all the images in the output, and we'll run our loop again. And we do get some fails, but less than when we ran it as V5. Okay, so again, you can tweak this, play around with this. Again, we have all these QR codes, they work, but test. This is just me messing around. I'll always test your QR codes. My script is checking, but also point your camera out. Now, they may work, like this Debian logo worked, and this one worked, that it can scan, but the logo's kind of hard to read. So you want to take that into account. So for example, if I was to look at this image here, right? That's an image of Tux. He is black, so he kind of blends into the background. Maybe that's what you want. I don't know. If I go this way, you can see I did the same exact image, just with a white border around him. The QR code still scans either way, but it just makes the image easier to see. So whatever image you're using, especially if it has black to the edges, you may want to add some sort of border around it. Something like this KDE logo or this LibreOffice image. These are easier to read, unlike this like Debian image here. Can't really read that. You can scan it. This one's okay, but I would still add some sort of white border or circle around it, more like this Debian logo, which actually had a fake transparency behind it. So all these things are things you want to look at when you're generating these. Now that we've gone through all this, we've tested it, we know what works best and what does not work best as far as the V, I'm going to walk you through my script. So let's go ahead. Again, this script will be in a link in the description of the video. You can always go to my website, filmsbychris.com, click on where it says notes and search for QR images, and it will be one of the ones in the list. I will, as I update this, if I make any changes, you'll see it there. Anyway, the first thing we do is we look at our arguments. We're going to look for I for image input, T for the text input, O for the image output, H for help, and Q, again, right now it's quiet, but really the only thing it silences is when there's an error, it doesn't print the help message. Here is our error function, that if an error is thrown, it will print the message in red. If quiet is not set, Q is not set, it will print the help message as well, and then it will kill the script. Here is where it's going to print our help message, which I need to update because I added the Q option, which doesn't show the help message, ironically. Here is our QR check. We will come back to that, but here we're going to check, okay, if you did the -H option and help is set, then we're going to print the help message and exit. Then we're going to check, did you give it text? If you did not give it any text, it will request some text and put it as the variable text. It will then again check, is there text? If at this point there's no text given, we're just going to exit. Okay, here we're going to check, did you, on your command line with your arguments, did you give it an image? If you did not, then it's going to ask for image. Whether you entered it here or previously, it's going to check, does that file exist? Because we need a file an image to put in the center there. If not, we're going to throw an error. In red, it will print image does not exist, and it will exit. And it will also print the help message if you don't have the -Q option set. Here we're going to check output. You do not need to give it an output file, right? So if you gave it an output file, great. If you didn't, it's going to check. It's going to create one. It's going to say create a file called QR_ and give it a epoch timestamp. This is not great because if you run the script in a loop and it generates the images in less than a second, it runs the whole script in less than a second, it might overwrite a previous image. But if you're just running it once, this is just, how often are you going to be generating a whole bunch of QR codes right in a row in less than a second in between? Again, the script is just for fun. Could be better done is basically what I'm saying. Here we're going to check, does your output file end in .png? If not, it's going to append .png. So you can just give it a file name without an extension. Or if you did .jpeg, it's actually just going to say whatever you gave .jpeg, .png. Here is where we're going to initiate our QR encode command. We're going to give it the text that you passed, the output that you gave, or was created here. And it's going to give it a size of 20, so a higher resolution, and the V of 15, which again can go up to 40 or 45. I did not do that much research on the -V option. Here, we're going to get the size of the QR code. So this is going to generate the QR code. Then we're going to take the generated QR code and we're going to get the width. It's a QR code, should be a square, so the height and the width should be the same. So we're just going to get the width, and then we're going to take that width and divide it by 4. So whatever our QR code is, we're going to get 1/4 that size. And that is what we're going to resize the image we're putting in the center to. So it doesn't matter how big your input image is, it was going to be resized to 1/4 the size of the QR code, so it's not going to take up more than 1/4 of the area on the QR code. We're going to take that size, and now we're going to take our convert command, which is part of the ImageMagick package. If you're not familiar with ImageMagick, think of it as GIMP or Photoshop for the shell. Anything you can do with an image, you can do in the shell using ImageMagick. In this, we're going to convert the output file, the QR code that we've already generated. We're going to take the image that we want to put over it. We're going to resize it, whatever the longest size of it is. So if it's a rectangular shape, whatever the longest size of it will be 1/4 the size of our QR code, whether it's the height or the width. Gravity center, that means center the image, and we're going to overwrite our QR code that we just generated. Now, we're going to run our QR check, the function up above, which we'll look at in a moment. If the QR check is successful and everything checks out, then we're just going to say our output image has been created with the text of whatever message is. So what is message? Well, that comes up here. We're going to QR check. We're going to use ZBarImage to get the text of that QR code. Q for quiet and raw, so we only get that text. And we're going to check, does that message, the output that we just scanned from that QR code, match the input text you've given? If so, just return and we'll print the bottom message and the script will exit successfully. Here we're going to say, okay, if not, we're going to rename the file. We're going to append the word error before the file name. Now, if you gave it a file name, that's one thing. If you gave it a directory to go into, well, now I need to split the directory name and the file name. We're going to check, was there a directory name? If there was, then we're going to say the directory name, error, file name. If not, then we're going to say the new output is just going to be the file name appended with error. Next, that's going to generate the name, and then we're going to move our output to that new thing. Again, just putting error at the beginning of the name of any failed QR codes, but still generating them so you can look at them and try to determine what went wrong. And we're going to print our error message in red, which again is up here. It's going to print the message in red. If quiet is not set, it'll print the help message, try to help you along, and then it will kill our script. That's the entire thing. I hope you found this useful. Again, the link to the script will be in the description of this video, or you can search for it on my website under notes. I thank you for watching, and as always, I hope that you have a great day.